Hi, my name is Janice Dickerson. I am 27 years old and I am from San Bernardino, California. Growing up, I lived with my mom, my older sister, and my two brothers. We moved around quite often because my mom was struggling, but she worked a million different jobs. We were actually what you would call latchkey kids because we had to take care of ourselves pretty often. But although we moved around a lot, we were able to stay in the same school district, so that helped us to maintain our community. My mom was the hardest working person you'll ever meet. She worked every job possible, and she had to work often because we didn't have a lot of help from family or friends. Although we struggled, I wouldn't say that I had a bad childhood. I was always around family and friends, and although it was because we needed help and we needed that assistance, we just were always around each other. And looking back, you didn't feel the struggle that we were actually going through. It was always when you went back home that you noticed that, we were going days without food and days without lights. So I remember moving to Alabama, and we moved there because my mom was promised that we were going to have a better life. Unfortunately, nothing changed there, and I remember walking into the house one day while I was a teenager and getting so frustrated because there were no lights on in the house. And because I was always with friends or just other people who were living decent lives, it just frustrated me to know that it felt like no matter what we did, nothing was going to get better. Honestly, I didn't even realize it back then, but we actually were homeless. Because we weren't on the street, it didn't feel like we were necessarily homeless, but we were what you would consider couch surfers. We stayed with family and friends in their extra bedrooms or on their couches. And because of this, my mom had to split us up. There were four of us, so she didn't want to become a burden on those that we were staying with. I would stay with my best friend at the time or with my great grandmother. My brothers would stay with their grandparents. I don't know where my sister stayed, and I actually don't even know where my mom stayed. Because my mom had to split us up, I always stayed with my great grandmother, and I loved staying with her. It didn't really affect me much at all. My mom would drop me off early in the morning before she went to work. I would sit and watch my cartoons, JJ the Jet Plane or Dragon Tales. I even watched The Price is Right, and I don't know why I watched that at such a young age, but I did. We would stop, we would make breakfast, we would do arts and crafts, sometimes garden. And I was just always doing something. I didn't have much idle time, and this created a routine for me and the structure I needed, the structure I did not get because we did move from house to house. So it was great for me. Growing up, I admired my grandparents a lot. I loved them to death. One of my favorite things that I respected most about them was how accepting they were. Specifically of me, I was the odd child growing up. My sister was very outgoing. She was really the voice for me growing up because I was so quiet and reserved. And there were often family members who would want me to be more outgoing like my sister or speak up a little more. And they would come and defend me and just remind me how unnecessary it was to try to be like my sister and just to show me that it was okay for me to be myself.